Silvan Saranai. Shall start additional Dhamma. Silvan Saranai.
තෙරුවන් සරණයි ආර්යයන් වහන්සේ. May I pay homage at your feet? තෙරුවන් සරණයි මෙහෙණින් වහන්සේ.
Oh, Silvan Saranai.
තෙරුවන් සරණයි everyone. Buddhism is all about you, your life story. Main thing in Buddhism is to understand the true nature behind your life and your mind. Mind is the most powerful thing in the world. Lord Buddha said, Manasache Paduttena. Mind is everything. What we think, what we do, what we talk is what we become. All the other religions talks about what happens after death. Buddhism talks about cause and effect Dhamma. That is what Lord Buddha has preached. It's to search about yourself. Say if you are shot by an arrow, the Buddha said, do not ask where it came from, who shot it, but ask how to get rid of that arrow. That's what Lord Buddha says. Focus on yourself. Because you have only this moment. Past is gone. Future is still not here. You have only this present moment. Even if you talk tomorrow or in 5 years or in 10 years time, you have one moment. It is the present moment. In this world, there is one thing common for everyone. Yes, even for animals. It is suffering. Suffering happens due to attachments. This attachment happens from the mind. For example, we get attached to material things and also to people. We get attached to our parents, children, friends, also to material things like cars, jewelries, luxury life, job, money, and so on. In the radiant mind, we did not have this attachment. We even didn't know whether we were born a girl or a boy. We didn't recognize our parents, family, siblings, or anything or anyone. We knew only to cry when hungry or hurt, isn't it? So how did these attachments happen? Sometimes you might say, it's good to be attached to your parents, your wife, your husband, children, to your job, to your belongings, isn't it? It makes you happy. With attachments comes the hopes. Hopes for better life, hopes to have good children, hopes to have a good husband or a wife, hopes to have a good family life, hopes to have a healthy and happy life, hopes to have lots of money, and so on. So likewise, we get lots of expectations in life. So always we hope for happiness, but usually it is not. So as you see, it ends up with suffering. Sometimes you might get sick, or a family member can get sick, or you lose your job. Sometimes someone dies. Sometimes your children get sick. You lose money. you lose your job. So now again, suffering. As you see, the more the attachments, more the suffering. We think the belongings or the people we love will be the same always. So say you go abroad, live in your family here. Still, you take them in your mind, isn't it? Even when you are here with them or when you are away from them, both are thoughts, mind creations. So you suffer with your thoughts. As long as you take the outside world as true or real, you are bound to suffer. Someone would say, yes, everything in the world is not permanent. We know that it will decay and it will die. But it is not Lord Buddha has preached. Lord Buddha has preached about the mind. That is why it is called the never heard before Dhamma, or dependent origination Dhamma, or the Hetupala Dhamma. Lord Buddha didn't talk about something outside which is going to change or impermanent. We have to understand this very clearly. So when Lord Buddha said, nothing is forever except the change or anitya or impermanence, that is about the mind Lord Buddha was talking about. That is the never heard before Dhamma, how the mind is subjected to change and how we suffer due to that. A thought is something not permanent. Still, the wonder in this Dhamma is that you still can love someone or you can like something without getting attached to it. It's called Deyak Nona Satutak, Deyak Non Adarayak, which means love, happiness, sadness, suffering will not become a thing, will not become a thing to you, because you know it is a mind creation or the mind sensor. So once you know how the mind is created, you still can love them, do the duties without attachments or suffering. So as a Buddhist, it is very important to know what Lord Buddha has actually preached to the world. What is dukkha? What is the cause of dukkha? How to end this dukkha? What's the path to eradicate this dukkha? This is what in Dhammacakkappavattana Sutra Lord Buddha has revealed to the world. This great Dhamma was hidden under the sands of time for a very long time until spiritual guidance teacher revealed it again to the world. Buddhism is not a belief, it's a practical Dhamma. So in every moment, you have to apply the wisdom of Yatha Bhuta Jnana, which means see how a thought is created and understand that it is not coming from outside, and know that this thought is a lie, an illusion, or a mirage. And not to believe or accept in any stimuli coming from your six senses. So without being practical in Dhamma, you cannot attain Nibbana. The supreme Dhamma cannot be written in a book. This is not knowledge. So what's the truth? What is life? What is Dhamma? If you look around, you see Dhamma everywhere. Only thing is that you don't realize it. That's why you have to contemplate, open up your wisdom. In this ignorant, mundane world, there is nothing to be called permanent. As long as the external world is true, you are in total delusion. So, what is to be practical in Dhamma? Dhamma and you are not two different entities. You are Dhamma, and Dhamma is you. So, once you see the truth, you will automatically get rid of the karma bhumi, or the ignorant, mundane world. What you have to do is just listen to true Dhamma, listen to Buddhotpada sermons, and see the Arya Bhumi. See, everything is a mind creation. Lord Buddha said, if one sees the truth, how the mind is created, and see the impermanence of the mind, it has more merits than giving 1,000 alms, which means to see that there is nothing in a thought. You have dukkha or suffering when there is a thing. Also, Lord Buddha says that even gods worship humans, all are mind creations, different types of mental creations. If we talk about knowledge, it's also a concept, thoughts. Ultimately, it's an illusion of our own mind. So in practical side of Dhamma, the 12 entities of Paticcasamuppada happens in a fraction of time, in the same time. The example is the fireball. When rotating in high speed, you see it as one circle. That is the illusion. All are words, concepts. We use words only for communication. But at first, we need this Suttama Jnana to understand this truth. Either we listen to Dhamma or read Dhamma books, as we did so many years. At that time, actually, we did not know that all sutras in Tripitaka says about the non-soul or anatma doctrine. So this is the pure Dhamma. Other than this, we don't have a path to go. We still can do the offerings like other days. We can do whatever we did earlier. We can talk, we can live our day-to-day lives, but something has changed. As one come to know, all these are mind creations, thoughts, and it is a natural phenomena. Our defilements will gradually disappear, which means the flames of desire, anger, and delusions in the mind is getting extinguished. This is a journey which leads to put out our burning desires. That is how the mind should be cleaned. So like the body, the mind also needs cleaning. Now we are out of blind faith or amulika shraddha and seen the faith-based wisdom, akaroti shraddha, which leads to extinguish the flames of desire, anger, and delusions. So being practical in Dhamma is practicing insight meditation, which means we see the truth in thoughts. So as I pointed out earlier, with this wisdom, we can talk, we can do day-to-day activities with this internal transformation. With this internal transformation, unlike in concentration meditation, you won't have a decline in your path to Nibbana. So in this path, the Satya Jnana or the truth of wisdom is very important because it's the point where all your false beliefs, misconceptions, ego, myself are shattered. And of course, you can't become a stream enter unless you realize this pure truth using both awareness and wisdom. Due to the wisdom, you feel that the inside fire or defilements are fading. For example, we'll take someone who goes to temple each day, offer flowers to Lord Buddha, worship daily as a ritual, or observe Sil for every poor day. But if we observe these people properly, one could see they are burning inside. Sometimes it shows from the facial expressions. It could be seen with their words, with the actions, and they are always restless. We meet this type of people day to day, isn't it? You meet this type of people at home, at office, maybe in a bus or in the road, maybe a relation, or even in a temple. So why is that? That's because there is no internal change, no internal transformation. But the worst thing of this is that they think they are in the correct path because they go to the temple, observe Sil, worship, does lots of meritorious deeds, but the defilements are same. But if they realize this true Dhamma and see these are all mind creations, and what they have to do is to see only one thought, they would be peaceful, isn't it? What I wanted to emphasize here is that the moment you realize the truth of a thought, which means all are mind creations, actually there is no mind exist. It just arises and vanishes in a fraction of a time, a fraction of a moment. Then only the flames of fire or anger, desire, attachments will vanish, disappear, isn't it? So actually what we have to identify here is that where is this me or myself? Why this ego? When does this ego pops out? So this path to Nibbana are like parallel lines of a railway line. Parallel to diminishing ego, simultaneously what is diminishing is the defilements, desire, anger, and delusion. But this happens very slowly. She Dhamma, Vai Dhamma. That is how the Lord Buddha has explained it. But when you listen to Buddhotpada's sermons more and more, you will experience this definitely. The mind will begin to get purified. Up till now, like a slave, you did everything what your mind has told you. But how much you worked for the mind has told, this same mind will not bear any responsibility when the last breath comes. So one might kill someone because the mind asked him to do so. But the same mind won't take the responsibility for the outcome. Following the mind blindly increases the intensity of desire, anger, and delusion. But once you understand the illusion which happens, you will no longer get caught to it. That is the turning point. So we will take some example, especially what's happening these days. We could clearly see anger, attachments, and desire everywhere we see. How it spreads like a disease in the whole country. How the Chittena Niyati Loko happens. You can see how the individual worlds are creating, how the inside fire is burning, how the mind power is forming. Even in the same house, different people have different ideas, opinions, concepts, beliefs, not knowing all are mind creations, illusions. When the repeated thoughts generates repeatedly again and again, it becomes more powerful and it gains more power. It happens due to the sparking speed of the senses, which gives the existing feeling, or the ittabhave, which converts to atmabhave, or the soul feeling. So more the current, energy, or the mind power, the more the defilements. All are vibrations. More the power, more ego. This ego is the enemy. Which one? One can do anything due to this ego. So we should be able to identify this ego. When somebody talks with actions, we can identify this. As I said, this ego is the worst enemy, which takes you away from the Nibbana path. With this ego comes that I know everything, I am more powerful, I can do anything, and he can do anything to satisfy his ego. Actually, if you are going to see good or bad of someone or judge someone, we have to look at his ego, how that person behaves, how he talks, and also the actions. The less ego, they talk less about others and less about himself. They have a pleasant behavior. Don't shout at others. Don't get angry often. They listen to others. Listen to ideas about other people. A good listener. So the people with less ego, they are different. They listen to others. They stand up for others. They are patient. Their face is pleasant. So identifying ego is very important. Where there is more ego, obviously, without any doubt, there is me, myself, my family, my friends, my relations, and so on. It's like a two sides of a coin that cannot be separated. So it's very important to identify this ego. The more ego, the more power. More power, more ego. It is like a vicious circle, isn't it? The wonder in Lord Buddha's teaching is that it shows that there is nothing called mind, me, soul, or ego. So as to see that, you have to know how the mind is created due to the vibrations of the five senses. It creates moment to moment. For example, what you see, what you hear, what you smell, what you taste, or what you feel becomes me. At the same time, what you have to understand here is this is the Paticca Samuppada Dhamma, or the dependent origination Dhamma, which happens in one moment. We'll take an example. So for an example, I see a bird outside the window. It's sitting on a tree branch. So I vibrates, and at the same time, all the other senses also vibrates. Still can't identify what is it at this level. Now, in a fraction of time, all the senses get together, and now I identify it as a bird. The mind is created, and now I identify it as a crow. Now I hear a sound. Ear vibrates, all the senses vibrates at the same time. Mind creates and identifies as the crow's sound. Now I am the crow. So how do I know this bird is a crow? It's because when I was small, someone has told me, showing a crow, that this is a bird and this bird's name is crow. Now I know this bird is a crow. Now I get the alive feeling, which is the ittabhave, due to the speed of vibrations. I identified the crow with the telepathy system because when I was small, I was introduced to a photo or a picture telling this is a bird, a crow. Now this alive feeling converts to another set of vibrations, the soul feeling, or me, or the soul. Actually, all of them are vibrations. Just happened in a fraction of a moment. A mental image or a chitta rupe, which disappears as soon as it appeared. So that's why it's called an illusion or a mirage. But if I take this crow as real and get attached to it or disattached to it, then the thing is created, the soul is created, or me is created. So if I saw this, the truth in this thought, that there is nothing in that thought, there's nothing to get attached to, disattach, nothing there, that is the wisdom. So if I thought again and again about the crow, it will become a abhisankarana. So when it might show up in a dream also, because it is in the thoughts. So we'll take the baby, the radiant mind. So he also sees a bird, but he still can't identify what is it. He sees something, but still can't identify. His senses also spark, but the senses did not get together to create the mind sensor. So at the Montessori level, the child is he was shown a picture of a crow and given a sound. Now the mind is created. And when repeatedly given the picture and the sound, the child now knows that this bird is a crow. Sometimes we also give the crow sound. For example, we teach the child the dog sounds, how the dog sounds, how the cat sounds, how the cow sounds, and the crow sounds. So different animals have different sounds. Now, if we take the crow again, that is the aramuna, or the vibration, or the thought, which came to one of the senses. In this particular thing, it came to the eye sensor. So likewise, you have to understand only one thought. It could be mother, father, son, daughter, a car, house, a tree, anything. If we see that there is nothing in this thought, we won't get attached or disattached to that particular thought. This is what Lord Buddha has told to Sunita Sopaka, Kujutara, Patachara, Kisakotami in simple words. So if the thought became a thing, then there is me. Then there is the soul. So Nibbana is not something we have to go and find somewhere. Something one gets after death. Though we see banners with Nivan Sola Beva or may he attain Nibbana, it is not something we get after death. In practical, you find Nibbana moment to moment within ourselves. When a flame of a lamp slowly dies down and extinguishes, can we find where the flame went? The death of the flame is nirvana, the extinguishing of all traits, greed, ill will, and delusion, the end of rebirth, liberation from mind, and freedom from suffering. So, in this part, contemplation is very important. That is why it is called a war with yourself, a war with kelis, or our own defilements. As long as there are defilements, there is no Nibbana. It is a war with soul, or Atma Yuddha. So now you know that your senses always sparks, vibrates automatically. But without mind creation, you can't identify anything. You must have seen patients after accidents. Sometimes they can't talk, they can't think, they can't even raise their hands and legs. Though the vibrations happens, the mind consciousness is not creating for them. Sometimes it's like the radiant mind. Sometimes they forget the past, forget his own name, or even their own relations. So they have to start from the beginning, show the pictures, and give sounds. So it's very important to understand the senses, especially the mind sensor, because like the eye sensor, ear sensor, nose sensor, tongue sensor, skin sensor, there is the mind sensor. Other than getting vibrations from the five senses, the mind sensor too has its own vibrations. So if you get angry, sad, happy, it's all the mind sensor level, which happens automatically. It's a natural phenomena. This you can practically experience these days. If you watch television these days, you will experience this due to these days there are special things going on. If you see someone you like, you will be happy. If you see someone you don't like, you will be unhappy or angry. Maybe there are 5 people in the same house, but those 5 people have 5 different ideas. What happens here is we give value to that thought. Either we get attached or we get disattached. This is also natural phenomena. So people run and run for many things, but people who know the doctrine, they also physically run, but from inside they have stopped running. They have stopped running the race, staying calm and quiet. It is amazing, isn't it? A thought is just a thought. There shouldn't be a problem in any thought. My ego and the self should diminish. It's also a thought. Actually, there is no self, never been. So one has to understand this with super wisdom and mindfulness. You must see the truth behind each thought. That is, the awareness of the truth of the moment or the Kshana Sampatti. The important fact is that one should be able to see the truth in a thought that occurs in the current moment. It's just like a spider sleeping until he sees a movement in the spider web. He runs and catches the object. Just like that, the mind is shaken with the vibrations. Mind is shaken by feelings, perceptions, sadness, happiness, and with all the objects that are constructed in the mind. Just like the spider, as long as the mind is in the state of sleeping, nothing affects and nothing registers in it. However, if it gets shaken, just like the spider web, then the I-ness or the existent feeling comes to life. What is important here is whether you accept the object or the thing and make it real or not. If you take the object as real, then the attachment happens. If you know the truth, clinging to the material world stops. With the inner transformation, It helps you to get out of the concept of self. In Sabbasava Sutra, you can find ways to get rid of the wrong notions of self. Dasana Pahatabba. This changes takes time. No one can drop the notion of individual self. This is a gradual process. The material things, the luxury things, or the luxury lifestyle cannot take out of your mind immediately. But once you know the truth and practice Dhamma, practice insight meditation, the stimulations of five senses gradually fades away. Because now you know that there's nothing exists. Everything is created momentarily and constructed due to a cause. And when the cause vanishes, these things vanish too. Hetum paticca sambhuta hetubanga niruchyate. This part explains the importance of getting rid of sensual pleasures and also the spiritual process. This is because if there is the slightest clinging, it makes it harder or impossible to reach Nibbana. How simple life can be in this situation, isn't it? When worldly objects, material things, and the concept of individual self are gone, you can see the reality of the material world. In order to practice the four foundations of mindfulness, you have to know there is no existing world. In Sabbasava Sutra, you can find ways to get rid of the strong notion of self. Dasana Pahatabba. Then these changes takes time. No one can drop the notion of individual self at once. This is a gradual process. The material things, the luxury things, or the luxury lifestyles cannot take out of your mind immediately. But once you know the truth and practice Dhamma, practice insight meditation, the stimulation of five senses gradually fades away. Because now you know that there's nothing exists. Everything is created momentarily and constructed due to cause, and when the causes vanishes, these things vanishes too. Hetum paticca sambhuta hetubanga niruchyate. If you see this reality of the material world, now you can practice the four foundations of mindfulness. So when practicing Dhamma, what is important is to find whether self exists. You have to catch the self, which means when you practice like seeing with the eyes, not I see, hearing with the ears, not I hear, eating with the mouth, but not I eat, tasting with the tongue, but not I taste. Likewise, self is not there. Only some senses are at work. You must practice this over and over again to get effective results. This is the true knowledge. So I think it's enough for today. We will meet again. Now you can listen to our spiritual guidance teacher, Buddhotpa Dwaren Mahase's short speech. Teruvan Saranai.
Let us say how you remember a book when you were born. You did not know what a book was. A book is formed in your mind when a color stimulus and a sound stimulus comes together in your mind process. This color stimulus and the sound stimulus are parts that takes place as a seeing and as a hearing. These two stimuli come together at a high speed and we recognize it as a book in our mind consciousness. Due to the high speed of the spark and as this spark ignites over and over again, trillions of times or more, it gives us a three-dimensional field of the image. Recognizing the book as real and that it is there in front of us. This image of a book is created similar to an image on a film roll of a film camera. If the image is one photo, the camera cannot run a film with it. But if the image is of several photo shots, similar to the image of the book, when it sparks trillions of times continuously, the film roll can run fast and show the film of a child running, looking like it is alive and real. Similarly, we believe that the sun, the moon, the book exist. The continuous sparks give up a feeling like it is true. The sound and the color comes together to form a thought of a book. When the sound of the book comes to the mind consciousness, the image automatically comes to our mind. And when the image comes to our mind, the name of it automatically comes to our mind too. When you accept and believe what you see outside as true, it gives a spark, a thought. When we look down at the ground, we know that the sun is shining up in the sky. the same way, when we look up at the sky and see the sun, we believe that the ground is below our feet, below our feet. When we look at a brick wall, we know that there are trees and leaves outside the house. There are all things that we believe that is real and that is existing outside. For every sound, there is a color, a shape. For every color, there is a sound. These were not known to us when we were born. Then later, as the baby grew up, he is introduced an image and a sound together. It is like a small spark is created at the beginning. Then, little by little, more sounds and images are introduced through him. That it is like a collection of many sparks gives a bigger current. This high current tends to automatically renew what is already known to you in the mind concept. What you know keeps getting renewed in that same moment. This renewal of knowing in this moment gives us a feeling of a self-identity. That I am here, that I exist. Now you think that this baby is mine, but we know. But when you realize the pure truth, all this what we believed exist disappear. Actually, what we thought don't exist at all. The fact that we think that I exist and I am real is only a thought. Everything we experience is an illusion. Vijnana Maya. This illusion takes place at this very moment. This illusion keeps renewing itself and it goes forward. And illusion gets added onto another illusion and it keeps going on, adding on. Anusat means when we mind concepts keep moving forward, believing in the illusion. This believing in the illusion over and over again creates greed, jealousy, anger, aversion, etc. Then we believe that the outside would truly exist, then you have a fear of death. You cannot be, you cannot bear to die. That thought gives you suffering. There is nothing that exists. The mind constantly creates an illusion that things exist. Because we are tricked by this illusion, we think that there are things that we would loss if we die. The suffering arises only when you believe that you have things to lose. If you realize that there is no being, then nobody exists. There is no self. Then there is nobody to die either. If you believe that things outside exist, then the sound and the color comes together and creates a spark which conducts a small current of about 5 milliwatts. This current runs along our nervous system. If we get angry, that thought creates an energy which increases the current. When a self is created on this side, the world is created on the other side too. Thought, energy. Is like a current. It does not exist anywhere. It is generated inside. When we believe that the outside world exists, it creates an energy to form an illusion. Therefore, in this moment.
තෙරුවන් සරණයි. තෙරුවන් සරණයි මෑණියන්.
තෙරුවන් සරණයි මහත්මිය.
තෙරුවන් සරණයි, our Dhamma friend, for your valuable speech. That was a great speech. And that's all for today. Let us conclude the meeting. තෙරුවන් සරණයි ආරයන් වහන්සේ. තෙරුවන් සරණයි